Greetings and welcome to some resin adventures. As per requested, I'm going to show you guys how I made my little micro stampers that you may have seen in my October festivities. I'll leave a link for that if you guys want to see what on earth I'm talking about. But I show you how to make these using resin and some refill squishies. What you will need first off is some stamper heads, refills. You can usually buy these online as a multi-pack, so you don't have to really worry about ruining something if you want to replace a head. My favorite brands to get these from are Winstonia and Mondo Monster. Those are my two favorite guys to get these from. You will need your resin. I am using a 10-minute quick cure polyurethane resin because I don't feel like waiting very long. Optional, any pigments you want to use to dye the resin to make it fancy colors. And then whatever tools that you'd use to mix stuff normally. You'll need a resin mold that has a variety of different cavities. I'm going to be using the smaller cavities. And this one, this long sticky thing, yeah. You will need some sort of cutting device. I have an X-Acto knife here, as well as a clay blade, to make things kind of simpler and even and stuff. And I also have my cutting mat from back in my modeling days. Yeah. So let us get started. First off, what you're going to do is you're going to take your refill squishy pad and trim it exactly how you would like. Now, I like to use the clay blade for it because you can get nice even cuts and make uniform shapes, but this is what I came up with just using the X-Acto knife, so I'm just going to reuse these. Because you can do that, which is really handy. Once you've got those cut to your shape, it's time to mix your resin and pour it in the cavities you wish. The smaller, the better. Alright, once I have my resin mixed up the way I want it to, I'm just going to pour it in my cavities. Leaving a little bit of room because we're going to put the little thing inside, and we want to actually not overflow anything. This one is where the silicone piece is going to go, so we want to leave that one a little empty. This one we're going to use as a handle, so we don't really care how full it is. I'm going to try and make two, and I'm going to fill the star because I want to, and I made too much. Once that is finished, we are simply going to place our little nubbin things inside the resin, and getting it onto the resin getting resin all over these things really doesn't matter. In fact, I'm going to prove a point with this one and just kind of cover it after I position it correctly. Alright, once those are placed in the position that you want to kind of keep it towards the center, we're going to let that cure for whatever the manufacturer says to let it cure. Alright, once everything is cured and we have all our pieces, we're going to have a lot of trimming to do. And in the case of this one, I'm just going to peel off anything that has stuck to it, peck it off and throw it away. And before we trim it, we're also going to pop off the pieces just so we don't accidentally cut the pieces and warp the shape. So, we're going to do very, very dangerous things, so very, very caution, blurs. Careful. Be careful. I'm not responsible for anybody cutting themselves for doing something reasonable. The best tip that I have for this is to kind of pop them out a little bit before they're perfectly solid, so that they're still a little soft and warpy, so that you're not fighting with it, and it's like solid plastic that you're cutting through. But I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and cut off the edges how I like. Doesn't really matter how good it looks per se because it's a tool, unless you really want to take really, really particular detail to it, go for it, but I don't care. I don't care how my tools look as long as they're functional. Okay. We're also going to want to trim off this lip that happens in the casting as well, where the little resin, or the silicone piece was, just so it fits better when we pop them back in. So that's what I like to do. Be careful when doing this. Please, don't hurt yourselves. I don't want to hear about that. That's not cool, and emergency trips are not fun. I'm also going to trim off the little sharp edges on the handle piece as well, just to make it nicer to hold when we're stamping. Might even want to take a piece of sandpaper to it to kind of smooth it out and make it even softer to hold. Now what I'm going to do is actually, since I've made 2 pieces, I'm going to cut this piece directly in half. Again, be very careful with this and try to keep this soft. If your pieces have hardened way too much and you've used polyester resin or something like that, stick it somewhere warm, like in the oven, so it softens a little bit so you're not, like, jabbing the ground or your hands. You can really hurt yourself doing that. But anyway, you want a nice flush cut so that the glue will stick to it nicely. All you're going to do after that is take your favorite industrial strength adhesive and put it in the center of each piece. You'll want to be careful and put it in the exact center as you can, so it makes aligning things as you're stamping much, much easier. We will take our end, and we'll take the cut end just because it looks nicer, even though I just said I don't care. Just smush it on top. Sit it down. And wait for those to set. You finally have your pieces. All you're going to do is put them back in. Assuming you can find the shape and match it, all you got to do is stuff them inside. And now you have a micro mini stamper for those really teeny tiny details. And this works not just for the resin stamping technique, but you can also use them with nail stamping as well. If you want like a little teeny tiny symbol and you don't want to really bother wasting a lot of polish or doing a lot of cleanup, these little tiny ones are very, very good for that. And that is it! I hope you guys enjoyed this little mini tutorial on how to make micro stampers. Have fun with these. And I hope you guys enjoy. Please let me know if there are any resin tutorials that you would like me to do. I think I'll have a full stamping tutorial sometime in the near future as well with resin. I'm going to try to figure out how to do that because I've ran out of resin and I need to figure out what I'm purchasing next. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. And of course, if there is anything that I need to be trying out right now, feel free to leave me a comment down below and I will see you next time.